My dear friends, there is a melody, a divine song, not composed by man, but whispered by the Spirit of God, a song not written in bars or beats, but etched into the silence of a surrendered soul. This song helps you let go and live your way, not your way in rebellion, but your way in redemption, not in defiance of the divine, but in communion with him. In every age, man sings. He sings when he is joyful. He sings when he is broken. But what song are we singing today? Is it the anthem of the ego, or the hymn of surrender? Is it the topping ballad of self-centered freedom, or the quiet psalm of eternal peace? You carry your past like a stone chained to your soul. The memories, the guilt, the failures, they echo in your mind like the tolling of a bell in an empty cathedral. You replay the words you wish you had never spoken, the choices you would undo if only time would allow it. And yet, my dear friend, I must tell you a truth that is as liberating as it is divine. God is not in the past. Yes, he was there. He saw it all. Every mistake, every tear, every darkened hour. But he is no longer dwelling in what has already been redeemed. You are the one returning to the grave, kneeling by a tomb he has already rolled away. You say, but I cannot forget what I've done. Perhaps not. Memory is a sacred scar, a sign that you have lived, fallen, and, by grace, have been offered the chance to rise again. But memory must never become a prison. It must become an altar. You must understand, God does not define you by your past. That's the enemy's voice, not the voice of heaven. The devil knows your name, but calls you by your sin. God knows your sin, but calls you by your name. And that name, oh, that name, is written in the palm of his hand. It is the name he whispered over you when he formed you in your mother's womb, long before you took your first breath, long before you made your first mistake. There is no stain that cannot be cleansed, no failure so great that the blood of Christ cannot cover it. The cross did not simply cancel your sin, it conquered it. And if God, in his infinite wisdom and boundless mercy, has forgiven you, who are you to keep condemning yourself? Do not confuse conviction with condemnation. The former is the voice of the Holy Spirit calling you higher. The latter is the lie of the accuser chaining you lower. Let go. The past cannot be undone, but it can be surrendered. It can be placed at the foot of the cross, where shame is silenced and grace begins to sing. You must not keep revisiting what God has already healed. The physician does not dwell on the wound after the cure. Why then should you lift your head, child of God? The weight of yesterday is not yours to carry. You were never meant to walk backward through life with your eyes fixed on regret. You were made to walk forward into light, into purpose, into resurrection. Let go not because the past was meaningless, but because its meaning has already been fulfilled. Let go not in denial but in devotion. Let go not as an escape but as an act of trust. God is not in the past. He is in this moment, and he is calling you right now, not to mourn over what was, but to rise into what can be. He has forgiven you. Now, forgive yourself and move forward. The music of grace is playing, and your part in the song has only just begun. We live under the illusion that we are in control, that if we plan just right, speak just right, arrange all the details, we can orchestrate life like a conductor standing before an obedient orchestra. We think we hold the baton. We believe we are the composer, writing every note of our destiny, choosing the rhythm, setting the tempo, deciding when the crescendos rise and when the silences fall. But that belief, though comforting for a time, is not only false, it is exhausting. Look around you, life rarely follows your script. The people you thought would stay sometimes walk away. The paths you paved with confidence can suddenly collapse beneath your feet. Plans, no matter how perfect, are undone by forces beyond your control. Illness, rejection, delay, doors you thought would open slam shut. Opportunities you prayed for never arrive, and so you stand there, bewildered, angry even, asking why the music of your life is not playing as you had arranged it. But perhaps the problem is not with the music. Perhaps the problem is with the conductor. You see, you are not the composer of your life. You are the instrument. An instrument does not resist the hand of the one who plays it. It yields, it surrenders, and in that surrender beauty is born. When you try to play your own strings, you create noise. When God plays them, He creates a symphony. This is not a message of passivity. It is not a call to laziness or fatalism. No, you are called to act, to dream, to build, but never to forget that your wisdom is limited. Your vision is partial. You see only the present moment, while God sees the beginning, the middle, and the end. He sees how even your detours lead to your destination, how even your setbacks are secretly set ups for glory you cannot yet imagine. You must learn to let go of control, not because you are weak, but because you were never meant to carry that burden. Let go because control is not freedom. It is a prison dressed up as power. You must learn to pray not just with your words, but with your will, thy will be done, and mean it. That prayer is not a resignation. It is a release into the arms of the one who knows the blueprint of your life, who shaped your soul before the world ever knew your name. You can trust Him. His hands are gentle. His timing is perfect. His purposes never fail. Sometimes He allows the music to go silent, not to punish you, but to tune you. Sometimes He changes the key not to confuse you, but to deepen the harmony. Sometimes He breaks the pattern you expected, not to shatter your hope, but to redirect it towards something higher than you dared to hope for. When you let go of control, you begin to discover peace, a peace not dependent on outcomes, a peace that says, even if I don't know what's coming next, I know who holds the next. And that is enough. Let go, not because you're giving up, but because you are finally giving in to a plan that is not only bigger than yours, it is better. And once you've surrendered, truly surrendered, you will hear something you've never heard before. The music of your life being played as it was always meant to be played, by the hands of the true composer. And oh, what a song it will be! There is a quiet thief that steals joy, robs peace, and strangles the voice of your own soul. It creeps in when you least expect it, in the stillness of scrolling, in the silence after a conversation, in the lonely hours of wondering if you are enough. It is the thief of comparison. You look to the left and to the right, measuring your life against the lives of others. You compare your beginning to someone else's middle. You compare your struggle to their highlight reel. You measure your worth by what they seem to have: talents, beauty, success, admiration. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to believe a lie, that your life, your voice, your song is not as valuable, not as beautiful, not as necessary. But that is not the voice of God. That is the voice of the world, and worse, the voice of the enemy, who has no power to create, only to distort. You were not made to be a copy. You were not crafted by the divine to be a shadow of someone else's light. You were not placed on this earth to mimic another's path, to echo their melody. You were made for your own, formed by the hands of a God who delights in diversity, who weaves no two lives alike, who composed you as an original masterpiece, not to fit in, but to shine. Look at creation. No two stars are the same. No two snowflakes. No two fingerprints. Why, then, would you think your life should match another's? The moment you compare, you silence your own voice. You stop singing the song that only you were born to sing. And the world, yes, the world, loses something sacred when your voice is missing. You were meant to fill a space no one else can fill. You carry colors, insights, emotions, stories that no other soul can replicate. Comparison blinds you to the miracles in your own story. It makes you chase timelines not meant for you, dreams not planted by God, stages where your voice was never meant to echo. You begin to see others not as fellow travelers, but as rivals in a race you were never meant to run. But you must understand, there is no competition in calling. God does not run out of purpose. He is not limited in favor, not short on blessings. What He has for you is yours. It cannot be stolen, delayed, or diminished by someone else's success. Their shine does not dim your light. In fact, if you truly understood who God is, you would rejoice in the flourishing of others, because it does not subtract from your own. Let go of comparison, not just because it hurts you, but because it dishonors the one who made you. It says to the Creator, "You should have made me like them," when He has already declared, "You are fearfully and wonderfully made." Do not imitate, do not envy, instead embrace. Embrace your journey, your story, your timing. Celebrate the strange turns, the silent seasons, the unseen victories. Every measure of your life's song has a purpose, even the dissonance, and in that embrace you will find freedom. You will find the power to sing again, not someone else's tune, but your own. Not louder than theirs, not softer, just true, pure, and real. And when you do, heaven listens, because your song, your unique, unrepeatable God-given song, was always meant to be part of the eternal symphony. So lift your voice and sing. Fear is a shadow that follows us all. It disguises itself in many forms: worry, hesitation, anxiety, control. It whispers questions in the dark. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if I'm not enough? And like a tightening grip, it wraps itself around the heart, suffocating peace, silencing courage, and paralyzing purpose. Fear is not simply an emotion, it is a force. It binds the soul with invisible chains, convincing you to play small, to hide, to wait. It builds walls around your heart, promising protection but delivering isolation. And slowly, fear teaches you not to dream too much, not to trust too deeply, not to step too far, because it's safer to stay where you are. But the tragedy is this: you were not made for safety. You were made for love, and perfect love. Not human love, not romantic love, but perfect, divine love. Casts out fear. It does not negotiate with it. It does not coexist with it. It casts it out, as light casts out darkness, completely and without apology. Fear may feel powerful, but it is not permanent. Love is stronger. Love, the kind that flows from the heart of God, does not tremble at the unknown. It walks into the fire not because the flame is less dangerous, but because the soul is no longer alone. Where fear isolates, love accompanies. Where fear limits, love liberates. Do not believe for a moment that courage is the absence of fear. It is the presence of love that is greater. When you are anchored in love, fear no longer has the final word. When you know that you are known completely, loved without condition, held without question, you are free to live. You are free to speak even when your voice shakes. Free to try even if you might fail. Free to trust again even if you've been hurt. You are free to step into the unknown because you are not stepping alone. The God who formed you walks with you, and when He is for you, who can truly be against you? Fear will tell you to protect your heart. Love will tell you to open it. Fear will tell you to wait until you're ready. Love will say go. Grace will meet you there. Fear will show you all the ways it could go wrong. Love will remind you that even if it does, you will not be lost, because love himself never lets go. To let go of fear is not a one-time act. It is a daily surrender. a conscious choice to trust the one who holds your past, your present, and your future in his hands. It is a choice to believe that you are not defined by what you're afraid of, but by the one who calls you beloved. So breathe. Let fear speak if it must, but do not give it the microphone. Do not let it decide the steps you take, the people you love, or the dreams you follow. Let love decide. Let love lead. Because when you live from love, you don't just survive, you sing. You rise, you become, and the note of love, once struck, echoes louder and longer than any fear ever could. It is the strongest note in the song of your life. Let it play. We live in a world so loud, so endlessly filled with motion, with messages, with media, that silence has become almost foreign to us. From the moment we rise to the moment we lay our heads down, if we even find rest at all, we are surrounded by noise. The noise of expectation, the noise of opinion, the noise of urgency and endless distraction. We have become so accustomed to sound that we have forgotten how to listen, and not just to words, but to the deeper things, to truth, to beauty, to God. We drown ourselves in noise because silence feels like emptiness. But silence is not empty. It is sacred space. It is the chamber of the soul where eternity whispers. It is the quiet where the true music of your life begins to emerge. And yet we avoid it, because to be silent is to be confronted. To be still is to hear not just God, but yourself. And sometimes that's what we fear the most. We fear the silence because it reveals the unsettled thoughts, the deep desires, the unresolved questions, the wounds we keep covered under a blanket of busyness. But you must let go of the noise, not because the world will ever stop shouting, but because you can choose to stop listening. There is a song playing for you, always has been, not a literal melody, but the deep, spiritual rhythm that God composed when He knit you together. A song that moves not with beats, but with grace, that rises and falls with purpose, that calls you not to do more but to be more. But this song is subtle. It doesn't compete with the world's noise. It waits. It waits for the soul that is quiet enough, surrendered enough, still enough to hear. You will not hear it in the crowd of constant comparison. You will not hear it when your days are dictated by the notifications on your phone. You will not hear it when your identity is tied to the opinions of others. You will only hear it when you turn it all off, the clamor, the chaos, the chronic pressure to perform, and return to the inner sanctuary of stillness. The prophet Elijah learned this lesson on the mountain. The wind came, but God was not in the wind. The earthquake came, but God was not in the earthquake. The fire came, but still God was not there. And then came a still small voice, a whisper barely there. And in that whisper, the voice of God, that is how the sacred speaks, not to the loudest, not to the busiest, but to the listening. Let go of the noise that tells you you're behind. Let go of the pressure that tells you you must rush, must achieve, must prove. Let go of the voices that try to write your story for you. Even good things, even helpful things, when unfiltered, become noise. Let them go. Create space again for the quiet. Step away from the frantic, if only for a few moments a day. Find the place where the world fades and the soul wakes up. That place might be a walk alone, a corner of a room, the early morning before anyone else rises, or the evening hour when the stars begin to blink and remind you of eternity. There, in the hush, you will begin to hear it again, the song, the one you've always had within you, the one God wrote for you before time, before noise, before fear. It is still there, waiting, so let the world go on. Let it hum, buzz, ring, and shout. You don't need to match its volume, you just need to listen, because the song you were made to live is not found in the noise. It is found in the stillness, and once you hear it, truly hear it, you will never live the same again. Beloved, this song, the one that helps you let go and leave your way, is not a pop tune or a passing trend. It is the eternal invitation to freedom. Let go of the chains, let go of the ego, let go of what was never yours to carry, and live your way, the way you were destined to live, with God as your source, your strength, and your song. Sing it, live it, and let the world hear heaven through you. Amen.